So after revision, my dear students, let us start studying about the crystal lattice and unit cell. So crystal lattice is a three-dimensional diagrammatic representation of the constituent particles in the crystal in which each particle is depicted as a point. Once again, let us understand what is crystal lattice. Crystal lattice is a three-dimensional diagrammatic representation of constituent particles in the crystal in which each particle is depicted as a point. Please remember that particles are depicted as a point. They are not actually points. So the particles are not actually point, but they are represented with the points, or they are depicted as a point. The regular three-dimensional arrangement of points in a space is called crystal lattice. So this is the another definition. You can understand that the regular three-dimensional arrangement of points is known as the regular three-dimensional arrangement of points is known as the crystal lattice. That is how you can easily understand, my dear students. So uh, let us understand it, or let us try to understand it. My goodness. Just 1 minute, I shall be back. Just hold on. Crystal lattice is a three-dimensional diagrammatic representation, my dear students. That is what we have seen it very correctly. Let's move forward and understand about it. There are 14. There are only 14 possible three-dimensional lattice, and these are called the Bravais lattice. So please remember the definition that 14 different arrangement of the lattice is known as the Bravais lattice. Following are the characteristics of crystalline lattice. So what are the characteristics of the crystal lattice? Let us understand. Each point in the lattice is called lattice point or lattice site. Second, each point in a crystalline lattice represents one constituent particle, which may be an atom or a group of atom or a molecule or an ion. Next one. Lattice points are joined by straight line to bring about geometry of the lattice. So lattice points are joined by straight line, and they are joined by straight line to bring the lattice geometry. So by joining the straight line, we can bring out the geometry of the lattice. Now, my dear students, we want to study about the unit lattice. It is the smallest unit of crystal lattice, which when repeated in the three dimension cause crystal lattice. So when we uh, have the crystal lattice in three dimension, it it makes it makes it makes the unit of crystal lattice, which when repeated we get the three-dimensional structures. A unit cell is characterized by its dimension along the three edge A, B and C. So let us understand all these things based on the various figures and diagrams, my dear students. You can see here the figure as well as the diagram, and in this figure or diagram you can understand that the type of crystal which has ordered arrangement of constituent particles, that may be an atom, ions or molecules, this ordered arrangement of constituent particle is found throughout the crystal, and this ordered arrangement of constituent particle is repeated periodically in the crystal. And this is how, or this is how you can understand that. You can see here we have, this is the figure, my dear students. This figure represent the crystal lattice. That is what we want to truly understand. You can see that in this crystal lattice, we have represented the various points as a dots. These points represents the particles, or these points represents the constituent particles of a particular crystal. And you can see that these particles are arranged in the uh, these particles are arranged in the proper manner. So you can see, my dear students, that here you have the various points, and these points represents the particles. Now you can see that these all points are arranged in a one particular manner, where you have the arrangement is a very ordered arrangement. When we join these particles, you can see that we have joined these particles with the lines. So you can see these blue lines, and these lines actually makes these particles to work in a, or to be joined in a proper manner. So you can see that these particles are joined in a proper manner, and when these particles are joined, you can find them out as a, you can find them out the crystals that we get, and these crystals what we get is known as the crystal lattice. So this is how, my dear students, we understand about the crystal lattice. Now when it comes to the crystal lattice, we can understand it some other way. uh, Thus, crystalline solid, let us understand about the definition of the crystalline solid. What is crystalline solid? Crystalline solid, it is a solid in which the arrangement of constituent particle is ordered. So, all the particles which are arranged, they are arranged in a proper order. The ordered arrangement is repeated periodically over the crystals. So the ordered arrangement is repeated periodically in the crystals. The ordered arrangement of constituent particle is throughout the crystals. So this arrangement which is ordered is throughout the crystals. That means each and every corner and each and every part of the solid, you can have this ordered arrangement. Then we have the next one, which is known as the crystal lattice, my dear students. Let us study what is crystal lattice. The ordered arrangement of constituent particles, which is represented as a point, if represented in three dimension, uh, diagrammatically, if they are represented in three dimension, but we are just showing the diagram for them. So if they are represented diagrammatically, in which particles are depicted as a point, the arrangement is called the crystal lattice. So this arrangement is called the crystal lattice when we join these particles diagrammatically. Please try to understand that the word we use, crystal lattice, is actually the word for that diagram. So please understand that the crystal lattice is actually a diagram, or the diagrammatic representation of the solid, or the smallest. So this is how we understand about the crystal lattice. Now we want to study about the unit cell, my dear students. In the crystal lattice, the ordered arrangement of crystal constituent particle is repeated periodically. The repeating unit in a crystal lattice is called the unit cell. Please try to understand, my dear students, that when we have the unit cell, this unit cell, this unit cell is just the arrangement, and this arrangement we need to understand about. So this arrangement of particle, which is repeated in the solid state. So in the solid structure, in the crystal lattice, the ordered arrangement of constituent particle is repeated periodically, and the repeating unit in crystal lattice is called unit cell. So this is how we understand about the unit cell. In other words, if we understand, unit cell is repeated in a different direction, it generates the entire lattice. Characteristics of unit cell. So please remember that this unit cell, which is periodically repeated, it is repeated throughout the crystals, in each and every part of the crystals, and by repeating this unit cell, we actually generate the crystal lattice. Let us understand the characteristics of the unit cell. To understand the characteristics of the unit cell, my dear students, let us focus on one figure that we have. So you can see the figure that we have here on your screen. You can see that on your screen we have a figure. In this figure, you can see that this is the point. Here we have one axis. Here we have the another axis. And here we have the third axis. That is what you can easily understand. All these axes, what you can see, they make some angle. You can see this is the angle. So suppose we say this is an x-axis, this is y-axis, and this is z-axis. If we say, then you can see that the angle between the x-axis and y-axis is your alpha. So this angle is known as alpha. Same way the angle between y-axis and z-axis, that is what you can see here. The angle between the uh, y-axis and z-axis you can see here, my dear students. And this angle is known as beta. And same way, my dear students, the angle between the x-axis and z-axis is known as gamma. So this is how, my dear students, we understand x-axis, alpha, beta and gamma. These are the angles that is found between the various axes. Same way, my dear students, you can see that there is a length. This is the length of the unit cell in all direction. You can see the another length here. This is the length. You can see this is the length. And you can even see this is even the length. So we give various names to this length. The length which is on the x-axis, we call it as a b. The length which is on the y-axis, we call it as a c. You can see that the length on y-axis is called c, and the length on the the length on the z-axis is called c, and the length on the y-axis is called a. So, or you can say that the length or the side exactly opposite to the alpha angle is called A. The length opposite to the alpha angle is called A. The length opposite to the beta angle is called B, and the length opposite to the gamma angle is called C. So this is how, my dear students, we have 6 parameters, or we have 6 constituents on the base of which we can understand the particular reaction or a particular state. So now let's move forward and understand it. You can see that angle between edges A and B is called gamma. So the angle between the edges A and B is called gamma. You can see here that this is your A, this is what it is your B, and this angle is known as gamma. Same way, if you have if you have this angle, so this is what it is your side B and C. The angle between B and C is called uh, A, or the is called alpha, and the angle between C and A is called beta. So that is what it is written, my dear students, that the angle between B and C is called alpha, the angle between A and B is called gamma, the angle between C and A is called beta. So this is how, my dear students, we understand the 6. Thus, a unit cell is characterized by the 6 parameters, and these 6 parameters are A, B, C, alpha, beta, and gamma. Now, classification of the unit cell. We want to understand the various classification of the unit cell. Unit cells are classified into 2 different classes. The various classes that they are primitive unit cell, centered unit cell. So let us understand first the primitive unit cell. When we look into the primitive unit cell, what we understand is when constituent particles are present only on the corner of the unit cell or on the 8 corners, it is called as the primitive unit cell. Once again, when the constituent particles are present only on the corners of the unit cell or at the 8 corners of the unit cell, it is called a primitive unit cell. Next one, centered unit cell. When a unit cell contains one or more constituent particles present in the position other than the 8 corners. So if the unit cell is present at the position other than the 8 corners, then the unit cell is called the centered unit cell. So this is how, my dear student, we understand about the 2 type of unit cell. One is known as the primitive unit cell, another one is known as the centered unit cell. Now let us study about the centered unit cell. Centered unit cell are of three types. One is body centered, another is face centered, and third one is end centered. So unit cell containing 8 corners. Please remember that unit cell has 8 corners, 6 faces. Unit centers has 6 faces. Unit cell has eight corners, 6 faces, and 3 pairs of the opposite faces, and it has got 3 angles. So let us study about this body-centered unit cell. So what is body-centered unit cell? The type of unit cell which contain one constituent particle at the center of the body. Uh, Constituent particle at the center of the body of the unit cell is called the body-centered unit cell. Once again, my dear students, I am trying to give you the explanation. Body-centered unit cell, the type of unit cell which contain one constituent particle at the center of the body of the unit cell is called body-centered unit cell. So apart from the 8 corners, the body-centered unit cell has one particle present at the center of the body. Then we have the next. Hello dear students, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
so the type of unit cell in which apart from 8 corners of unit cell, any 2 faces which are opposite to each other also containing one constituent particle is called the face-centered unit cell. We will study them one by one with the figures. Now we'll study about the end-centered unit cell. In such unit cell, one constituent particle is present at the center of any 2 opposite faces beside one present and its corner. So apart from the corner, there is one pair of the faces, and in this one pair of the opposite faces, if we have a unit cell, if we have the constituent particles available, they are known as the face-centered unit cell. Let us study. As we know, my dear students, that the ordered arrangement of constituent particle in 3 dimensions represented diagrammatically, in which each constituent particle atoms or group is represented as point is called the crystal lattice. French mathematician Brevet first described the crystal lattice into the 14 possible 3-dimensional lattice. These 14 different types of lattice are collectively known as the Brevet lattice. So if you are asked the definition of the Brevet lattice, you can see that, or you can write the definition that a French mathematician Brevet first described crystal lattice in 14 possible 3-dimensional lattice. These 14 different types of crystal lattice are known as the Brevet lattice. This is how you can define the Brevet lattice. The characteristics of the crystal lattice is each point in crystal lattice represent one constituent particles, which may be an atom, an ion, or a group of atom, or it may be the molecules. Next one, lattice points are joined by straight lines to bring out the geometry of the lattice. So lattice points are joined by straight lines to bring out the geometry of the lattice. Each point in the lattice is called the lattice point or lattice side. Please remember that each point in the lattice is called the lattice point or lattice side. Let's move forward and understand. Now you can see here, my dear students, we have one particular kind of lattice which is known as the cubic or primitive lattice cell. The examples are NaCl or zinc blende, which is known as ZNS, or copper. These all have this kind of primitive lattice where you can see these particles are available at the 8 corners of the unit cell. So you can see here the unit cell where each corner of this unit cell has each particle present. This type of cubic cell or this type of representation is known as the primitive unit cell, and here you can see that the particles are present only at the 8 corners of the unit cell. Now, before we move, my dear students, let me tell you that these are known as the sides of the unit cell. So, unit cell have the sides A, B, and C. Unit cell have the angles alpha, beta, and gamma. So, you can understand the unit cell from the various sides alpha, beta, and gamma, and A, B, C. At the same side, at the same time, my dear student, you can see these are the faces. So this is what I have represented is known as the face of the unit cell. And you can see that, my dear students, each unit cell has got 6 faces. This is even another face. So this is 1, this is 2, this is, so you can, if you stand inside the unit cell, if you are standing inside the unit cell, my dear student, you can see that on the right side of you there is one face. Then, sorry, on the left side of you there is one face. On the right side of you there is one face. So two face. On your head there is one face. You can see here one, and at your bottom or at your leg there is one face. So these are the 4 faces. And the next one is on your front there is one face. You can see that on your front there is one face, and at your back there is one face. So this is how in a unit cell you can have various 6 faces available. So you can see the 6 faces into the unit cell. If you stand inside the unit cell, if you stand inside the unit cell, you will realize that on the left side and on the right side there are one face, so 2 faces. On the front and at the back you have one face, so 4 faces. On the top or on the head you have one face, that is 5th face, and at your leg there is one face. This is 6th face. So this is how, my dear students, we understand the 6 faces into the unit cell, and that is what I have written here, my dear students. If you can recall that, please try to recall it. That is what I have written here, that in a unit cell, my dear students, in a particular unit cell, if you look at, we will find that in a unit cell, this is the statement. Now you will be able to understand it well, I hope, that this is what I am talking about. Unit cell contains 8 corners. Unit cell contain 8 corners, 6 faces, and 3 pairs of my dear students, you can easily understand, 3 pairs of opposite faces. So you can see that this unit cell have 3 pairs of opposite faces. One is the pair we can easily understand by understanding this. So there are 6 faces, that is what we have understood. So now in this, if we really look at, then we can understand see, there are 6 faces. These 6 faces can be divided into 3 pairs. One pair is left and right. Another pair is front and back. And the third pair is on the head and under the leg. So this is how, my dear students, we understand these 6 faces, and these 6 faces can be again divided into 3 pairs. One pair is on the left hand side and right hand side of yours if you are standing inside the unit cell. The another pair is from the front side and at the back side of yours, and the last one is at above your head and under the leg. Under the leg you have. So each unit cell has got 6 faces, and these 6 faces can be again divided into the 3 pairs of faces. So this is how we truly understand the structure of the unit cell. And each unit cell, my dear students, I would like to repeat it, that you should know it well so that you can understand it well, that each unit cell contain 8 corners, 6 faces, and 3 pairs of the opposite faces. Please remember that each unit cell has 3 pairs of the opposite faces also, and each unit cell has also the 3 sides which we have represented in the form of A, B, and C. So here we have studied about the primitive kind of unit cell. Now let's move forward and understand the centered cells, or the unit cell in which we have points even present apart from the corner. So here you can see this is the body centered unit cell. Body centered unit cell. My dear students, in this body centered unit cell, apart from the 8 corner, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Apart from these 8 corners, there is one point present at the center of the body, and that is why it is known as the body centered unit cell. Now please remember that they are not very small. Here we have represented them as a point, but they are not actually the points, my dear students, but they are the big spheres, and this is how you should understand their structure. So you need to understand about these particles. You can see here in this figure I have tried to show you the particle present into the unit cell at the center. Here you can see it's a big atom, a huge atom present inside the unit cell apart from the 8 corners, and on the base of that you can easily understand that there is a big particle present at the center of the unit cell. Same way, my dear students, here you can see that in this figure you will understand it better. In this particular figure, you will be able to understand it well, that you have the various unit cells present in a very different manner, or this is how those points which we have shown can be explained you well. You can see this figure and understand it well. बच्चों आपको ये फिगर दिख रही है क्या on your screen?
Yes, sir.
So now you can see that there is one. This is what it is, the body-centered unit cell, and in this body-centered unit cell, my dear student, you can see that there is one particular molecule present exactly at the center of the unit cell, and you can see these 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 is actually here that we cannot see. So there are eight corners, and at each 8 corner you have the various particles or various points available, and on the base of that, my dear students, we understand the structure of the unit cell. So this is how, my dear student, we study about the body centered unit cell. I hope you understood. If you have any doubt, you can ask. बच्चों, I want you to understand it well. That is why I have drawn all these figures. बच्चों, क्या आपको समझ में आ रहा है?
Yes, sir.
Very, very good, very good.
Yes, sir.
Good, good, wonderful. I'm so happy. So now you understand about the body-centered unit cell. This is what it is. Your sorry, it is not even the body-centered. This one is your body-centered unit cell. So we have understood the body-centered unit cell. Now we want to study about the new type of unit cell, which is known as the face-centered unit cell. So this is your face-centered unit cell. Let me explain you how you can understand it. You can see these are the 8 particles present at the 8 corners. So you can see these particles present at the 8 corners. You can see these various particles present at the 8 corners. They look wonderful. Can you see these 8 particles? Okay. Now what happens? You know that there are 6 faces. So suppose you are standing here. If this is the one you are, and you are standing here in the unit cell, you can see that there is one face on the left hand side of you, and there is one face on the right hand side of you. So you can see that this one particle at the face at the left side, and one particle at the face which is right side. Then you have one particle at the above your head, and one particle at your legs. So these are the 4 particles on the various faces, and then you have one particle in front of you. You can see this particle is just in front of you, and this particle is just at the back of you. So my dear students, here you can understand it very well that each particle is present in front of you as well as at the back of you. So these are the 6 particles present into the various 6 faces into the face-centered unit cell. I hope you understand it well. And this is how, my dear students, we have the various unit cells into the face-centered unit cell. Let me try to show you the face-centered unit cell when the spheres are present into the unit cell. You can even understand it by this representation. This is also the face-centered unit cell that you have. No, but this is not, because this is body-centered. You can say not even body-centered. We'll understand it later. Let us look into the face-centered unit cell. Yes, now you can look into this figure. So you can see that, my dear students, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 is at the back. This is 6. So these are the 6 particles present into each unit cell apart from the corners. So apart these corners, they have these unit cells, but apart from the corners, these particles also have these 6 units present into their unit cell. And this is how, my dear students, we understand the body or the face centered unit cell. So apart from the corners, we have 6 particles present at the 6 faces, and on the base of that we can understand the face centered unit cell. Now you can easily understand about the face centered unit cell, my dear students. If you have any doubt, you can ask. बच्चों अगर कुछ पूछना है तो पूछ लो.
नहीं पूछना है.
समझ में आ गया सब कुछ?
Yes, sir.
चलिए, then let us understand the new type of
Yes, sir.
unit cell, which is known as the end-centered unit cell. So let's have a look to the end-centered unit cell. You can see that in end-centered unit cell we have 8 particles present into the 8 corners of the unit cell. You can see these 8 particles at the 8 corner, and 1 particle means we have 2 particles present at the center of the opposite faces. Please understand why I have made you understand these opposite faces. So this is what these 2 faces are, the opposite faces. They may be the above the head and under the head. Even we can view the same we can view in a very different manner. Let us view it, my dear students. Let us view it in some other manner. Now you can see this hand-centered unit cell. Here you can see that these 2 opposite faces. One is on the left side and another is on the right side. So even this is the way by which you can look into it, and you can even have it. You can have these particles even at the front side here, and at the back side on the back face here also. So this is how, my dear student, you can understand that this end-centered unit cell may have these various possibility, and on the basis of that you can say that the type of unit cell in which, apart from the 8 corners, if each opposite face contain 1 particle each, such type of unit cell is known as the end-centered unit cell. So this is how we understand the various type of unit cell in our particular case. Let us try to understand it, my dear